It's been nearly 20 years since I first arrived in Kenya to work as a photographer. I didn't know very much about traditional African people then, but I had seen photographs of them in history books and on postcards. Their world was rapidly changing, and I set upon a journey to photograph the continent's traditions before they disappeared. Over the years, I traveled over 10,000 miles of African territory and published 2 books on its people and cultures. Over the years, I became friends with many of the people I met, returning to villages again and again. At first, the people were suspicious of my cameras. Their only experience with photography had been with tourists who wanted to take exotic pictures while on holiday. These encounters had left a negative impression, but over time, they agreed that their world was changing, and they wanted their culture to be put on record. Few of my friends, however, would have a chance to enjoy the pictures or find copies of the books in the remote villages in which they lived. But they too would appreciate the chance to see the great moments of their lives preserved on film, to learn about other cultures, and to relive events that now, several years later, exist only in their memories. The book tour I really wanted to do was not in the Barnes & Nobles of America. It was on the road in Africa, returning to places I had photographed and visiting people who had made the books possible. Many had never seen photographs of themselves. So in early September of 2009, I rented a cinema screen and headed into the bush. We planned to set up the 18-foot screen in a small Maasai village on the Tanzanian border and see if the idea would work. It would be the first book tour of its kind in Maasai land, and I hoped it would answer the questions people had long wanted to know about photography. In the small town of Kijiji, where there had never been a cinema show before, residents weren't sure what to expect. So tonight we're giving a slideshow in the village, and I want to know, is she coming?
Hello? She's coming. Everybody's coming.
So what are you expecting tonight? Do you have an idea about what will happen?
She doesn't know. What,
you don't know?
Yeah.
So what good purposes does photography have? If you could find some good reason for pictures, what are some of the good uses for photography today? So what are you expecting tonight?
Take pictures for the wildlife and our lodge and maybe the Maasai people here around.
Yes. Do you think it's the first time for many people here to see such a cinema?
Yes, they have never seen. I am sure that no one has ever seen the big, you say the big screen. No one has ever seen.
The first time.
Yeah.
As we set up the screen on the outskirts of the village, curious children came to watch. For the location, we chose an open area where there would be plenty of space for people to gather. As the crew secured the large screen and set up the loudspeakers, daylight faded away, and a full moon rose in the night sky. Seeing light from the projector, people began to arrive in the dark and form an audience. Anticipation filled the air, and before long, it was time for the show to begin. So I hope you enjoy the show. The slideshow seemed to be a success. During the projection, people reacted with a mix of excitement and wonder. Children laughed as they saw people they knew appear on the large screen. And a common shout was the Maasai word "she," which translates like something between wow and oh my god. In the night, we were told, there were dreams of warriors and lions and ceremonies under the stars.
As I was watching the pictures, I saw it seems that years goes a change of culture. Actually, you find from ours and the rest, they are disappearing into the new lifestyle. So it seems that the earth is like revolving. Even when everything is changing, also our culture is changing. So we have to keep in mind and try to reflect, to flash back whatever we used to do. Na rona ke sendina amo hirare bungara subuluni amara ngolwa jige bungara gwe na ona ida na ona me dola silo singolyo normal ranera nyitai kari ine yelo na hamna gwe begela na buyo ona na gwe irune do rongo nyek na ke do ngola de ko dala na de senema na go grado dunia de ngai le na nwa da ro hogi na ka yikununu kwa likia na ka sdai lo gwa likia ra mero ni to yimin mbora na ngia ke do ngole ke jana ngi ya yudo na sari izo me kude udo ka ke ngora na gre bele ka nyaka kiara shirgala na wale na senema ka sdai ni ro do ni senema sabu ni jina amagro ya yong bi yuang aje ke ka ke mi yala jo wa yu biro na ga yu kunyetai na ko ngole ke nyor ko ling senema ni ro do liyo.
In the end, we all agreed that times had changed in Africa. The Maasai had allowed me to photograph them for the purpose of preserving their culture, and this gesture in itself was their own acknowledgement that an idealized way of life that had existed over centuries was disappearing. With these changes comes a loss that remains to be defined. The rewards of culture and tradition are many, instilling a deep sense of community pride, as well as inspiring creativity and art. The very word tribe conveys the feeling experienced by a group of people with common ancestry, customs, and beliefs. To be a member of a tribe is to be included, to belong, one of the most basic human needs familiar to all people of all races. It is a birthright that is absolute, our very first identity, our genetic and cultural assignment in life. They are the very things a Maasai warrior hopes to be when he wears a lion mane headdress and stripes of ochre face paint at his initiation into manhood. And they are the qualities a Karo man may wish to convey when he paints spotted patterns across his body, or that a Samburu means when he festoons a headdress with flowers or feathers of small birds. All wish to be seen as beautiful, wild, powerful, and brave, to be distinctive from all other men, all other races. Cultural art, adornment, song, and dance are Africa's treasures. They have evolved over thousands of years only to be eclipsed by globalization in a brief century. This loss of magnificence, so rich, whimsical, and original, is sure to detract from mankind's experience in spiritual quantities that are immeasurable.
Ole Pole, in the middle of nowhere, towards the border of Kenya and Tanzania. Can you believe it? Yes, you can. Well, who was our client? The name? Liz Gilbert, indeed, and she had taken a number of photos from the Maasai, and she thought it wise to be able to give back to the community. Not as many do, coming to take and never giving back to the community. So we managed to take the screen, projectors, sound, and we had a wonderful time showcasing a documentary about the diverseness of their culture. It was a wonderful experience. I bet you've never thought about it.